Live from the JSA Podcast Studio, presenting Data Movers, showcasing the leaders behind the headlines in the telecom and data center infrastructure industry.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our podcast series, Data Movers. I'm your host, Jamie Scotto-Cutaia, CEO and founder of JSA, along with my fabulous co-host, top B2B social media influencer. Everyone knows him and loves him, Mr. Evan Christel. Hey, Evan.
Hey, Jamie. Good to see you. Well, not everyone loves me, but a few people do. But welcome to Data Movers, where we sit down with the most influential men and women of today's leading telco and data center world, supporting the network infrastructure requirements of this new normal. But first, before we dive into the interview, let's talk about some tech news, specifically the color of my hoodie here, which is green. There's just tons of hype and progress in sustainability and green technology in the cloud and data center space. Do you think it's more buzzword or greenwashing or actual progress? Sometimes I wonder how much is buzz and how much is real progress with sustainable innovation in technology. What do you think?
Great question. Great question. And I'm going to go with progress because, gosh darn it, we're writing a book about it. And if this isn't progress, then I don't know what is. But
Wait. Stop the presses here. You're writing a book.
It's a multi-author book called Greener Data, and it's going to be released on Amazon on Earth Day. So April 22nd. Just a few short weeks now.
That is phenomenal. So
yes, and
I kind of understand the premise, but what's the perspective on the book? What are you going to dive into?
I've asked all of our amazing clients and community members. I did sort of a call for authors here and got such a phenomenal response, just industry thought leaders weighing in on how to not just come to carbon neutrality, but reduce carbon emissions in our data centers, in our network infrastructure, and also, how do we bring back biodiversity? So it's a really wonderful book. I've been in a very fortunate position where I hear from my friends in Finland. I hear from my friends in Hong Kong. I hear from my friends in the middle of the States. And I'm hearing all these wonderful, creative ways to approach getting more greener in our space. And I was like, guys, we can't just share this as competitive, insight. We need to really, shout it out and do it immediately. So when I asked folks in December, like, let's do a book in April, people were like, can you do that? I'm like, we're going to find out. So we're finding out.
That is fantastic. Well, I can't wait to read the book. We're going to have to do a special bonus episode on the book. But until then, why don't we get on to our guest? He's a fascinating key player in the data center space.
He is. And what a wonderful transition too, because we have, of course, Craig McKesson. He's the Chief Customer and Marketing Officer at T5 Data Centers. And T5 has been writing about sustainability for years now in our space. So, Craig, it's an honor to bring you on to Data Movers. And thank you for all you do in our industry.
Thanks so much, Jamie. Evan, it's a pleasure to be here and just excited to be a part of your podcast today.
Thanks, Craig. And let's start with a brief introduction. Maybe you can introduce yourself and T5 Data Centers for those who aren't familiar.
Sure thing. So again, my name is Craig McKesson. I'm Chief Customer and Marketing Officer at T5 Data Centers. If you don't know T5, we're really the industry's only full lifecycle data center services partner. And what does that mean? It means we're really there from the beginning of the actual development of the data center and working with the customer through the actual interior construction and infrastructure construction. And then even more importantly, there for the ongoing facility management, sustainability, and renewable portion of the assignment. And so what we've done is really carved a niche around being that partner that's there with our customers, both enterprise and hyperscale, from the beginning all the way through their project.
And what you do at T5 is so special. So many beautiful niches that I want to touch on shortly, but I got to start with, sorry to embarrass you out of the gate, but this is so cool. I couldn't help it. But we found out that you had some experience as a captain in the U.S. Air Force, which sounds fascinating because you were stationed at the Los Angeles Air Force Base, the home of Space and Missile Systems Center.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes. I had the privilege of serving in the Air Force, and really I got lucky. I got stationed in Los Angeles. Worked as an officer helping launch GPS satellites into space. So I worked on the Delta launch vehicle. We always used to like to say, for those people who are old enough to remember, it was a little bit like working on the set of I Dream of Jeannie. And so you got a chance to be in the bunker with a headset on during a launch, crawling around the launch pad in Cape Canaveral. It was a really unique experience. And little did I know at the time, the project that we were working on, as I said, was the GPS system, was really going to transform the way we all do business and live on a day-to-day basis.
It certainly has.
That is fantastic. I'd personally like to thank you for GPS. I remember the days of driving around with MapQuest and maps in my car, and it was a hell on earth. So thank you. That
was the thing, Evan. So being in LA, they had this thing called the Thomas Guide, which was literally 2 or 3 inches thick. And in order to get around, you would go from page B3 to page C7, and you're flipping back and forth, and that's how you did it. And now today it's either you pick up your phone or you look at your watch, and I mean, most of the time I don't think I could get from A to B without just watching the dot on the car.
Yeah, kids these days have no idea the struggle. But so how did that experience then translate into your career path subsequent, and then getting into commercial real estate and then data center?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. My first job in commercial real estate after transitioning out of the Air Force, I was actually interviewing with LaSalle Partners, and I was talking to a managing director there at the time, and he looks at me and he said, "Well, Craig, real estate isn't rocket science." To which I deadpan, I said, "Well, that's okay because I used to work as one." And
mic drop. Yes,
it was basically a mic drop.
Hired.
Weeks or months later, after I get the job and I'm starting, and we happen to be out and we were grabbing a beer after work one day, and he says to me, he's like, I knew I was going to hire you as soon as you came back with that whole worked as a rocket scientist thing. And so, it was actually basically, it got me the job and it got me a start in the business.
Oh, I love that story. And, we sort of teased it up, but I want to get back to it. T5, they do things a little different. And I love that. So let's just get our readers, our viewers, a little insight there. So, okay, let's start with 2 million work hour safety record. Tell us more.
Yeah, Jimmy, we're super proud of it. So I'll talk a little bit about our life cycle services, and a big portion of that is our facility management business. And so we not only operate our own T5 data centers, but we operate data centers on behalf of some of the world's largest and best companies around the world. We actually operate about 55 data centers in 20 markets around the world today, and have grown that team to about 500 critical facilities technicians. Wow. And so we're super proud, really, to take our tagline, which is forever on, and expand that out to being forever safe, forever on. As we know, data centers can be incredibly dangerous environments. You're working, around, basically lightning in a box, megawatts of power. And just as we pass over the new year, we reached 2 million consecutive work hours without a lost time accident across any of our sites. And so that is just an incredible milestone. We're super proud of that. It's really important to all of our customers as well. And it's something that we really hang our hat on in terms of our culture, our processes, our training. And we just want the world to know about it.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I recall that fire at that data center and company, I won't mention them, but in Paris a few months ago. And it was just a terrifying kind of incident. It took days, I think, to get under control. Mm-hmm. So what makes up a top-notch facility management capability? What are the best practices, or what's the special sauce behind what you do. What's your secret? Basically, give it all away now, right here.
Yeah, give it all away. So, like any good recipe, it all starts with having the right foundation. I love to cook, and one of the things I learned early on when I started, training for cooking was you need mise en place, which means have all of your ingredients out and ready to go, and be ready when the fire is hot. You have it all ready. You can get it done right. And so we really approach facility management in the same way, in terms of a foundation of training and process and procedure, and building a culture around following directions. We recruit and retrain the best. We recruit a lot of transitioning veterans, a lot of former people who worked as Navy nuclear technicians, people who understand what mission critical really means. And so, at the end of the day, our customers are trusting us with their business. They're basically handing the keys of their business over to us as a data center provider and facility manager. And so, you mentioned, the fire that happened over in France. That can knock people out. Not only put lives in danger, but can knock businesses out for an incredible amount of time. And so we take that really, really seriously. But it all comes back down to understanding the fundamentals, being trained, being drilled, so that when something does go wrong, we know exactly how to go about and mitigate that situation with minimal loss.
Yeah. And it's funny, and I'm thinking about so many military men and women who have been brought into our data center ecosystem world, and looking at our processes with that engineering focus, being prepared ahead before the fires on the grill. And I think there's a lot to that. It kind of brings me also, I heard a little bit about your project, your newest project, serving the U.S. Army Cyber Command in Augusta. Can you tell us any more about that?
Yeah, Jamie, we're super excited about this. So we just announced it a couple of weeks ago, but we're in the early phases of launching a 190-acre, 200 megawatt data center campus, as you said, located in Augusta, Georgia, but even more uniquely, directly adjacent to Fort Gordon, which is also home of the U.S. Army Cyber Security Command headquarters. And so we believe, it's real estate is all about location, location, location. And, this site has great access to low cost, reliable power. We've got tremendous, fiber connectivity. And then the adjacency to everything that's going on the Cyber Command side really sets it up well to serve the needs of Fed cloud, government cloud, any of the hyperscalers who are serving that market, to really customize and build whatever type of data center they need.
Wow, sounds like a great project. But talk as well about expansion in general. We're seeing a tremendous surge in requirements and capacity, an explosion in demand. What sort of expansions do you have on the horizon in your locations?
Yeah, that's right, Evan. I mean, there really seems to be an insatiable demand right now for data center capacity, really all over the world. And we're seeing the same thing at T5. We've recently opened a new facility in Chicago in the Elk Grove Village submarket. So we have available commission capacity there. Same thing in Hillsboro, Oregon, just outside of Portland. We also have a new facility going up in Silicon Valley as well. So those kind of are, really our three flagship facilities. We have another large campus opportunity in Atlanta, Georgia, and then also have an existing campus with capacity in Charlotte as well. And so we have a pretty nice geographic footprint there. And we're really set up to customize needs. We've really founded our business by partnering with kind of the more high touch enterprise customers, those customers that really understood the meaning of quality and how we can customize their solutions to their needs. We've taken that and expanded it out to larger size requirements. We're working with hyperscale customers now and the cloud customers as well. And so I think really the sky's the limit as we continue to expand our portfolio.
Oh my goodness. Location. Just like you said, those are some key spots. I'll tell you. I can see why expansion is on the horizon for you. Also, I cannot. You mentioned it. I have to go back. I'd be remiss if I didn't. But you went through not only military boot camp, but also culinary boot camp. Tell us
Wow, you're a Renaissance man.
Yeah, well, he mentioned cooking, so I figure it's fair game now. But tell us about the Culinary Institute of America, the other CIA. And,
That's right.
What is it? What is it like when it comes to whipping you into top?
Well, so it's interesting. I did mention I like to cook. And so, and tying this back to the digital economy, my first foray into cooking actually started with an app. And so I think it was an early version of the Mario Batali app. And it was like how to cook, pasta, for crying out loud. It was like really, really simple stuff. But it ignited kind of this fire inside of me that I have this creative side and the technical side, and it kind of put it all together. And so, I took that app and I kind of, started to try different recipes, and I started trying different things, and I really started to want to really understand the fundamentals. And then I saw that the Culinary Institute of America was hosting boot camps. So it was really a 7-day boot camp at the CIA in St. Helena up in Napa. And it was an absolutely incredible opportunity. It was just an incredible experience, incredible opportunity. They dress you up in the chef's coat and the checkers, and you're in there at 6:30 in the morning with the rest of the students of the CIA, and you have your section, and basically you're going through every fundamental type of cooking process and understanding how to execute each one, how they're used, why they're used. And then creating a menu and sitting down with all the other students at the CIA and getting critiqued by the different chefs. So that's kind of the boot camp part. And then enjoying a great meal. And then to top it off, you're there in the afternoon, you can go wine tasting and then rinse and repeat,
So you didn't have a Gordon Ramsay type yelling at you the whole time. This was more laid back than
so they kind of realized that we're hobbyists. They didn't want to scare us away, but it was a fantastic experience because again, it really taught us how to approach different things and what technique needs to be used for what type of process, and it's really increased my confidence level in the kitchen. So
well, I was saying I was afraid my husband would send me off to this culinary boot camp. And now after hearing about it, I'm like, not such a bad.
It's not so bad.
I'll go to the wine tasting part too.
Oh, come on, Jamie. You have chefs and personal staff to do all these things for you.
My husband wishes. I boil water. I'm like, I can do pasta and that's it,
Right.
But now let's getting back to you, Craig. I love this part of Data Movers, where we sort of do this rapid fire segment where, we'll just throw out some crazy, wacky, quick questions and you just respond with the first thing that comes to mind. So, okay, talking food, culinary, what would be the favorite food that would surprise folks?
Good question. I think I would have to go with probably paella.
Ooh.
It's incredibly fun to make, especially if you do it over an open fire. I do it just over a Kamado Joe or a big green egg. But it's just this interesting mix of great flavors. I grew up in northern Wisconsin, so I like casserole. So this is kind of a Spanish casserole. So you've got rice and you've got seafood and you've got chorizo, and it's just this amazing mix of flavors that comes together. And then even more importantly, it's one of those meals that you share as a group. So it's one of those things where you can entertain with it, get people together, raise a nice glass of wine, and just really share good times with good friends.
Now I gotta go search paella on DoorDash. But, okay, that sounds really good. Favorite holiday to celebrate? I'm guessing one with food involved.
Well, wouldn't be a celebration without food.
The holiday without food, right?
So that's an interesting question too. And I think this one I'm actually going to take back to COVID. And so we had relocated to Atlanta just before COVID, and formed a pod with two other couples, real good friends. And for the holidays this past year, we actually, and it sounds a little bit cliche, but we celebrated Festivus. And we did it with an authentic Festivus poll. And we had the airing of grievances. We did the whole thing. So we did the whole Festivus experience, just, because it had been 2 years of a pandemic and everybody cooped up. And we just said, you know what, let's just do this. And so it ended up being a heck of a lot of fun.
That is absolutely hilarious. Yeah,
yes.
That's right.
Love it. Oh my goodness, I love that. All right, you mentioned you started your love for cooking on an app. So I'm wondering, would this be the app that you use most on your phone, or would it be something more business related? I don't know. What's your favorite app?
So if I look at my phone, it's probably the app that gets used the most, and it couldn't be more appropriate, but it's my podcast app.
Yeah.
So there you go. So yeah, it's actually spent a lot of time listening to podcasts. It just is, you can have access to so many different types of information anytime you want it. The real-time access is amazing. And the variety and quality is amazing as well.
Well, I hope you listen to Data Movers.
And I'll say, it all starts with Data Movers.
Yeah. Nice plug. Rewind this section, press play over and over again.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this next question I have here may be redundant, but with the Super Bowl, but what's your favorite sport to watch? I'm guessing football, but I'll let you tell our audience.
So I am a Green Bay Packers shareholder and have been for years and years and years. But I have to say, every 4 years, it has to be curling. Because, how can you not watch?
If I could guess every sport on the planet, that would be the last.
I would say every 4 years, you have this opportunity. How can you not watch a sport where Ron Swanson can compete for a gold medal?
Fair enough.
Right? I mean, it's so much fun. That it is. It's gonna, that's I guess I'm in the Winter Olympics mode right now. But you get a lot of these sports that kind of come up that you're not really accustomed to seeing or watching, or don't necessarily understand all the rules, and then you start to understand that there are people all over the world that do this, and they're focused on it, and they're training their whole lives to get to this point. This really obscure sport, and it's like kind of fun to watch.
I know they.
All right.
The sincerity, the seriousness on their faces, they're like launching that.
Hey, yeah, they're sliding that rock, and they're trying to get it into the house. And,
you just have to root for them, really.
Exactly.
I hear you. And how about your favorite sport to play then?
So I'm going to kind of keep the Winter Olympics theme. So I love to ski. I used to ski race as a kid, and was actually just invited to become an ambassador for the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Association. It was the U.S. Ski and Snowboard team. So I've been involved with them for a number of years, and again, it all kind of goes back to supporting the Olympic dream and everything that goes with that. So I love to ski, and then most guys my age, I've been frustrated by golf for 40 years, and so play a lot of golf as well. And I'm determined this is my year. Right, this is the year I'm actually going to get better. So we'll see.
I have to
Fantastic.
say, you got to draw the line between athletes, military men and women, and our data center infrastructure folks. Like, I think there's something there. Like, there's a lot of former skiers and runners, et cetera, that are part of our industry as well. Sorry.
That's right.
Just drawing that line. Just
That's
saying.
right.
Yeah, well, no curling in the data center. You're a technologist. What's one thing you wish was never invented? And then on the flip side, what's your favorite invention of all time?
That's an interesting question. Never invented. I appreciate being called a technologist. I also really think that invention is the root of all progress. And so, while I'm sure there are, definitely examples of things that, we all wish probably would not have been invented, there are always things that then either counter those or move things forward. And so, I'm a big fan of just, enabling people to have that creativity and that desire to go out and create the next thing. I mean, think about just, over this conversation, we talked about, what's happened just in our work careers. I think back to, the beginning of my work career and helping launch GPS satellites into orbit, to where we are today using that technology and what comes next. I couldn't have fathomed that really, back in the 90s when that was going on. And so what's going to happen here over these next generations as people continue to push the envelope and continue to invent things, right? I think that's really, at the end of the day, I think that's what really motivates the data economy, what we all do, the industry we're in. And it's that creative vigor, I think, that ultimately is going to, bring the world together. It's definitely flattening it out. It's giving people opportunities that they never thought they would have because of this technology. And I think ultimately it's just going to continue to push us forward. So I don't have a specific, I know there's a long answer to your question, but that's kind of how, I don't think I would say there's any.
Fantastic.
Well said. Well said.
Yes. Well, thanks for joining us, Craig. It's been really fun. And from the CIA to the Air Force to curling to, that was quite a tour de force of a discussion.
We covered some ground.
We covered a lot of ground. And thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you. And listeners, viewers, if you enjoyed today's Data Movers podcast as much as we did, be sure to check us out, jsa.net/podcast, for upcoming Data Movers episodes, releasing every other week, Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Evan Kirstel and Jay Scotto, and look forward to connecting there as well.
And as always, guys, stay safe and happy networking.